This is WYMT Mountain Sports, your home for the Kentucky Wildcats and local high school sports.
Every advanced statistic shows that the Kentucky-Wisconsin Final Four game could be another classic like last year. When both head coaches took the podium today, there were a lot of interesting ideas about what should be done to enhance the athletes' lives. Josh McCreary with more as he caps off our day one coverage in Indianapolis.
College athletes and money. It is an issue that has gained momentum over the last couple of months, and with this being Final Four week, the topic again is being discussed. This season's NCAA tournament has already brought in hundreds of millions of dollars, and while the benefits for players and their families are not what many coaches would like them to be, progress has been made.
I think the NCAA right now is moving in the direction they need to move. It's a slow-moving boat, but it was for 40 years, this is the way it is, and we're not changing, to where now they've been forced to move in the direction of these young people, and I think they've done a pretty good job here over the last year.
For the first time, the parents of participating players in this season's Final Four will have transportation provided so that they can watch their children play.
What I'm getting at is all of a sudden football goes to a championship game and and for the men's Final Four we're going to take care of the parents for that too. Oh, well, thank you. That was awfully nice, but we think it should be for more.
My opinion is the parents should come to every round. Why should only the parents come to the final round? What about the other 64 teams that played in this? Why wouldn't their parents enjoy being with them?
And while the right steps are being taken, there are still many more steps to take. In recent months, the NCAA has changed its policy regarding meals for student athletes, but as you heard from Kentucky coach John Calipari and Wisconsin coach Bo Ryan, they still feel there is more that can be done. Reporting outside Lucas Oil Stadium in downtown Indianapolis, Josh McCreary for WYMT Mountain Sports.
All right, thank you, Josh. Well, Super Mario Smash Brothers has been the game of choice on the road for the Kentucky Wildcats, a classic old-school Nintendo 64 game where the object is to knock the other characters off a stage. First, they played it in the hotel room at Cleveland at the Sweet 16, and now it has made its way into the hospitality room at the Final Four, where even Wisconsin players are getting in on the gaming. Wisconsin's Frank Kaminsky and Kentucky's Willie Cauley-Stein will take the stage Saturday night in the Final Four, and just like the video game, one will be knocked off the stage. But no Smash talk today about who is going to beat who, just about which Smash Bro character they like to play with.
Who to play with? Which character? I've been trying Captain Falcon recently, but he's really slow, so I haven't been doing well, so I think I'm going to go back to Kirby.
Willie?
I play with Kirby, just because he can change. He can change into anybody he's playing against, and he flies around. So when you get knocked off the little stage, you can just fly back, and you don't have to worry about jumping.
All right, Willie Cauley-Stein, the Kentucky Wildcats are trying to fly around on Saturday night. Tipped off set for 8:49 p.m. inside Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. National broadcast on TBS, Homer/Teamcast is on TNT. If Kentucky wins, the Wildcats move to 39-0 with one last game to cap off that perfect season. The first Final Four game also on TBS Saturday night is 1-seeded Duke versus 7-seeded Michigan State. 6:09 tip time for this one. These two actually met in the regular season clear back in November, where the Blue Devils won by 10. All right, now to Matt Jones. He's in Indianapolis with the Wildcats, and here's tonight's KSR Minute.
Kentucky had their first practice in Indianapolis today as they get ready for the Final Four matchup against Wisconsin, but they also met the media for the first time. And what we saw was a very loose group of players. They were joking around, goofing off. Willie Cauley-Stein made jokes from the podium, and John Calipari seemed about as loose as I can remember since the season started. And that's the best way for them to be, because what we've seen here in Indianapolis is a huge media contingent. The questions during the players' part focused primarily on the UK guys, and it seemed like from most of the media, John Calipari was actually getting a better shake than usual. Now, a lot of this will change tomorrow. All four teams will practice, the fans get here, and it becomes a wilder scene. But I'm very impressed with what I've seen from UK early. Even though the attention's on them, they don't seem to have weight on their shoulders, and they're getting ready for a game a lot looser than I would have expected. I'm Matt Jones, and this is the KSR Minute live from Indianapolis.
Coming up, spring football practice continues for the Football Cats, plus high school baseball and softball highlights from Barbourville and Shelby Valley. Kentucky's football team moved up its spring practice a day early, practicing this morning instead of on Friday. Mark Stoops plans to give his guys the weekend off to rest and heal, and they'll probably watch some basketball as well, of course. One of the positions Stoops and his staff are most excited about is at tight end, with the addition of true freshman C.J. Conrad and the emergence of redshirt freshman Darrell Long. Both can be playmakers, blocking or catching the football.
It's always competition, but that brings out the best of us, So we're just trying, get the tight end room, as a whole is better. So, because we're both going to play this year, both, make sure that we both, do big things for this offense.
We just got guys now who can, stretch the field, but also, can be that inline blocker. So now you ain't one-dimensional. You're bringing in a guy who can block, then you got to bring in a guy who can pass. Don't want to get too over ahead of myself, but I think, that our tight end position is exactly, especially me playing the position, is exactly what we want right now.
The Knox Central Panthers were shown the door in the first round of the 13th region tournament last season. Good news for this year is, well, they have everybody back. That's always good news, right? The Panthers trying to end a 3-game skid tonight, taking on McCreary Central at home. Bottom first we go. KC up 1-0. Jackson Stewart slings one to short. Bleh. Guy can't handle it. 2-0 Panthers. All right, later on, same inning, runner at third now, Donovan Arthur. He pops up, deep center. Braden Emmel will tag. Here comes the throw at home. They're not even going to waste their time. That's a stand-up run there. Knox rolling. Let's go second inning now. Jacob Nelson finds the hole in left field, brings in another run. Knox Central puts one back in the win column tonight, 14-0 over McCreary Central in 5 innings. All right, just down the road on 25E, the Barbourville Tigers welcoming in the Oneida Baptist Mountaineers. Top of the first, no one on for OBI. Daniel Decker shoots one into left field. That one drops, and Decker gets a stand-up double for the Mountaineers. OBI has a runner in scoring position. Very next batter, Nathaniel Miller. Oh, it's Miller time. All right, he pops out, but here comes Decker. Tags, goes to third, ball gets away, and he's going home. Make it 1-0 Tigers. How about a little defense now on the top of the third for Barbourville? OBI pops up to Nathan Carmack. Heads up play to catch the runner at the bag, and at third for the double play. Barbourville sneaks past OBI 3-2. Tonight is the final. Now to softball. Shelby Valley hosting East Ridge, the Lady Warriors. Let's do it. Valley on top, 2-1 in the top of the 7th. Brittany Tackett slaps one to center. Here she comes. All the way around to third base. And we've got the tying run in scoring position for East Ridge. Next batter, Paige Potter. The bunt is down, and here comes pinch runner Watana Moreno. Thank you, Katie May, for that pronunciation guide. Later in the inning, a controversial interference call gives Potter a free base. A run scores. That makes it 3-2. East Ridge wins on the road.
We knew that we had to do it then or the game was over because they were up by 1. And our batters stood in there and did exactly what they had to in order to score that tying run and then get the go-ahead run.
Sources tell ESPN.com that Shaka Smart, the VCU head basketball coach, has now taken the position at Texas, reportedly worth the money hasn't come out, but a 6-year deal. Of course, Rick Barnes stepped down and went to Tennessee, and now he's there. So Shaka Smart, VCU, now to Tennessee, or to Texas.
All right, thank you, Jamie. We'll be right back.